What is going on, you guys? What's going on? Can everybody hear me? Before we get too deep into this, can everybody hear me? I want to make sure everybody can hear. I am so blessed. I want to start there, man. First of all, y'all know what it is, man. It's Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, Philly the podcast. This is Philly's Morning Joe. We're going to do this every day, but I just want to say I'm blessed, bro. I honestly thought I was going to come into here to having maybe 2 or 3 people watching. We already got 12 people in the chat, man. Shout out to all of y'all. Salute to all of y'all. To answer the question, I've had so much stuff going on, but I am back, and I feel so good to be back. We are in a new crib. Me and my girl moved to a nice little area out in Clearwater, you know what I'm saying? As soon as we moved out here, there was a hurricane, so we had to evacuate. So we were in Orlando for a couple of days, but now we are back. We are hopefully bunkered down, hopefully, chilling for a little bit. But look, we do have a poll question. It is shout out to, let me make sure who said it. Hold up. Travis. Shout out to Travis. He said it's not even a question. It really isn't, but you gotta ask, right? Who's gonna throw more touchdowns? I asked if you thought Jalen or if you thought Mac Jones. Go ahead and answer that question in the chat, and answer it in the chat if you guys want to, ask anything. If you want to say anything, y'all already know how we get down. If you don't know how we get down, this is about y'all. This isn't about me. I do have some topics I want to get into. But again, I just want to give a shout out to everybody already in the chat, man. I see Antonio in here, NFL Reality Check, Legal Hustle King, Eagles fan, John Monroe, Travis, like I said, Kataya's mom. I hope I said that right. Who else we got in here? I think that's it for now. But we got 16 people in the chat. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the family. Like I said, we are going to do this every single morning. So I hope you guys are ready. But let's hop into some of these topics I want to talk about, because like I said, I do have a full show hopefully ready for you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. So let's hop right into the first bit of news, man. We got Arryn Siposs. So if you guys don't follow me on Twitter, I definitely suggest that you follow me on Twitter. I always put out information. I always, I do have, luckily now, a couple of people that give me information, and I'm able to share it with you guys. So the other day, I want to say it was Tuesday that this happened, I had a phone call with Ari Mirov, NFL reporter, part of the 33rd team, and then also Andy Benoit, also part of the 33rd team, and he's also part of Sean McVay's staff out there with the Rams. So they know a little bit. So I went ahead and I asked Ari about Arryn Siposs. Now it's a little bit clear. Obviously, a lot of people have been talking about it, but I put this on my Twitter, and I thought it was interesting. Look, I wanted to know what was the likelihood of Arryn Siposs being that day one starter, being that week one starter, what the plan was for the Philadelphia Eagles. I asked him if they were maybe talking to other teams or maybe talking to other punters. He didn't really give me, him being Ari, didn't really give me the sense that was what was happening. He basically said, and I'm paraphrasing this, he basically said that it's not a rarity. This isn't something that, never happens. A lot of times this does happen. He pointed out the situation back with Dallas when they didn't have a kicker on their roster week one, went ahead and, got him on roster before the game started, I should say. And he said he felt he was going to see the same with Arryn Siposs. So he said that he assumes, and again, that we don't know, right? We don't know 100% sure, but it looks like it's going that way anyways. It looks like Arryn Siposs is going to be that week one starter as the punter. Obviously, he has that little niche as the holder, so, it does give him that familiarity with Jake Elliott. I'm sure Jake Elliott was pushing for my guy. So, I'm not mad at this. We've had Arryn Siposs on the show. Arryn is a really cool guy. A couple of his family members follow me on Twitter. Very nice people, very supportive people. So I want to see Arryn Siposs get better. And I do feel like we're maybe unfairly judging him on that Super Bowl punt. That was a bad punt. But look, our special teams as a whole, in my opinion, wasn't that good. So I don't know if it's all on him, but it definitely has some of the blame, right? Arryn Siposs definitely wasn't perfect. But I miss Donnie, man. I miss Donnie. He was automatic. So that's what we're looking at with Arryn Siposs. I mean, I know a lot of people probably don't want to hear that. I know a lot of people probably don't want him to necessarily be the starter, but again, I don't know what's out there that they really feel is a huge upgrade, and I feel like that's what you need to find. If you're going to go ahead and move on from an Arryn Siposs, you need a guy that's going to be a big upgrade, and I don't know if you necessarily have that out there. I know a lot of people are talking about Ariza, him coming off of those charges, obviously being cleared, so maybe he's a guy that you look at, and I don't know. At the end of the day, he said, Ari said that he thinks that Siposs will be your starter Sunday, but he does also think that Howie's going to continue to monitor the situation throughout the season. So they're not necessarily answer for the full season, but at least for the first week, it looks like you're going to have Arryn Siposs. So also, like I said, I was able to talk to Andy Benoit. Andy Benoit has been in coaching staffs. He has been working with coaching staffs. Obviously, like I said, right now working with Sean McVay out there with the Rams. He knows a lot of coaches. He knows a lot of people he knows a lot of staff members within the NFL. So a question I wanted to ask him, and he told me he already asked this question to coaches, so it was kind of perfect that I was asking him. What did people think about Nick Sirianni? What in specific, what did coaches think about Nick Sirianni? And what he told me, this one was kind of funny. I didn't put who it was from, and a lot of people were telling me I was lying. I don't know why I would lie about this, but at the end of the day, he told me that, coaches around the league think that Nick Sirianni has his players and his staffs back 100%. I should have added an extra 0 because it is true. We know, and this you can say about a lot of coaches. I will say that. But we know that Nick Sirianni has his team's back. He's not going to let anybody get over on his team, right? And that's one thing that we have to learn. We have to love. So I love this. I think that this makes a lot of sense. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are very, very lucky to have a Nick Sirianni, but he also spoke on his respect around the league for his humility and his ability to elevate his staff. Obviously, you see across the landscape of the NFL, Nick Sirianni now is building a coaching tree. No matter how much you love or hate Jonathan Gannon, he's a head coach. Nick Sirianni obviously Shane Steichen obviously got his shot, and I'm sure there's going to be more people on this staff that get a shot at either a head coaching job or at the very worst an upgrade in position. So that was a no-brainer as well. Now the humility part is where a lot of haters, to be honest, it was a lot of people that just don't like the Eagles talking junk about the humility part. Now, what did I mean by the humility? What did Andy mean by the humility part? I should say he was talking about his willingness to give up the play calling, his willingness to let his staff members do their job, understanding that he's an offensive minded coach, right? But he came into this league, into this team, and said, I'm going to oversee everything. I'm going to try and make sure that my guys are in the best position to do what they feel is right. And I think that that's a huge part of what Nick Sirianni is. We've seen a lot of head coaches not be able to work with coordinators, but and I hate to keep on bringing up Dallas, but you look at Dallas, right? You look at Mike McCarthy and you look at what they had with Kellen Moore, that didn't really work. You're seeing a guy, Nick Sirianni, be able to work with young guys, be able to work with these coordinators and bring the best out of his team. He's not just sitting there quietly and not saying anything, right? He's there and he's making decisions. He's going ahead and he's helping his young guys become the best that they are. So I think that the NFL is starting to take notice of who I think is probably the top 5. Is it too early to say Nick Sirianni's a top 5 coach? Let me know in the comments. Do you guys think that it's too early to say top 5 coach in the league? And I want to answer this question real quick. Shout out to, who was it? Taya's mom. Hopefully I'm saying it right. But either way, so who's pushing the Devontae versus AJ mess, and where can we find them? I just need to chat. That is Eagles media. That is Eagles media just pushing it. I saw that interview, or I listened to that interview. I think I was driving around, and I was getting annoyed. I'm not going to lie, because it feels like AJ Brown was telling you there's no beef, there's no ill will between us. I hate that you guys keep bringing that up. So what did they do? They asked him 4 more questions about it. So I don't like it. I really don't like it. But at the end of the day, that is kind of what I feel like it's the media. I feel like Philly media is just, they're thirsty for a story sometimes, and sometimes It's upsetting. I'll be 100% honest, and I have to agree. I have to agree with you. Who said? Travis said Desai will get more recognition this year. I tend to agree. I think that Desai is in a very, very good position. You have a good defense already. Now it's just putting your stamp on it, right? He keeps on talking about he wants his team to be felt. He wants his team to be felt. He wants people to, really see and understand what they are. They want to be physical, and that's all things that Philly fans want to hear. I think that I can speak for all of us when I say, if you rip a couple heads off, we will be happy. So I think that he is in a very, very good position. And then you look at the guy that just left, right? Jonathan Gannon didn't put a bad product out there for the most part, right? The Super Bowl we all kind of are wary about, and I'm sure as time goes, and we'll talk about that, but I'm sure as time goes on, we'll find out more about that Super Bowl situation. But, as Sean Bradley said, it is kind of corny to continuously hate on Jonathan Gannon because he didn't put a terrible product out there. Special teams was a big part of our failures, especially in the Super Bowl. But throughout the season, there was a couple of plays that the special teams kind of just lacked on. So it's not all on Jonathan Gannon. I say that to say this. Sean Desai has a good team, so now he has to just put him on it, right? Put your face on it, put your stamp on it, let people know what you are, and let us feel you. Let us feel you, pause. Let us feel what this defense is going to be. Go out there, knock some heads off, and we'll all forget about Jonathan Gannon. I can guarantee you that if we win, when we win a Super Bowl this year, we're going to forget about Jonathan Gannon. We're not going to be sitting here talking about, yeah, but remember 2 years ago, Jonathan Gannon. No, well, nobody's going to care. We're going to say, we got Sean Desai now. We got Jalen Hurts for another, 4 years after this year. So I don't think that we'll be talking about him much more, but in the spirit of talking about Jonathan Gannon, figure why not talk about him one more time. So Jonathan Gannon had a interview with Zach Kiefer. Shout out to Zach Kiefer, man. A very good interview. A lot of people took this quote out of context, very out of context. A lot of people were saying that, he just basically said he's the reason that we lost the Super Bowl, us being the Eagles. That's not what he said. So to read the full, caption, he said Gannon can too. Start with the two that sting the most. A pair of fourth quarter coverage busts that earned him a healthy amount of blame back in Philly. Quote, I'm the reason we lost the Super Bowl, end quote. He says, mimicking the criticism. So he was basically talking junk. He was basically saying that he doesn't deserve the blame. And again, I'm taking it a little bit out of context at this point. But what it says to me, right? It says to me that he doesn't really feel like he deserves the blame. And again, I will say he doesn't deserve all of it. There's a lot of things that you look at and you're like, that looks very weird, right? Why were you talking to other teams prior to the Super Bowl, right? Why were you accepting jobs prior to the Super Bowl? Why were you? There's so many things we can say, right? That it's just like, what was going on in your mind? It felt like he was kind of checked out in that Super Bowl, but I wanted to bring this up to add some context to it because I saw a lot of people talking about it and a lot of people kind of being like, oh, Jonathan Gannon knows he's the reason. It doesn't seem like he even feels he's the reason. What do you guys think? Realistically, now that we're a good amount of time removed from it, shout out to everybody in the chat. We got 31 people already in the chat. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. But real talk, what do you guys think? Do you think that Gannon was the main problem? Was he the reason? Was he the reason we lost the Super Bowl? Should he be mimicking that criticism or should he be accepting that criticism? Because again, personally, I don't think he was the full reason, but you could definitely, you know what I'm saying? Did you come to work on a bus today? What you mean? What you mean? Does it sound crazy? I didn't come to work on a bus. Oh, did you come? Oh, because of Gannon. Okay, I'm like, yo, what you talking about? Yeah, because did you have that fire? Did you have that fire? I'm going to be honest, okay? If it was anybody but Jonathan Gannon, I would have probably thought that line was pretty fire. But it's because it was Jonathan Gannon, it just came off weird. And the way that he delivered it, right? I always say this. It's about your delivery, right? You can deliver a pizza. If you deliver it upside down, nobody's going to want it. It's still a pizza, right? But the delivery was messed up. So, yeah, no, I mean, he's a weird dude. He's definitely a weird dude. It was a funny moment, bro. It was funny, man. It was funny. It was Gannon's fault, period. No stops in the second half at all. Yeah, I get it. That video was so cringe. The players should be running out of the building. Did anybody see how Zach Ertz looked? Zach Ertz looked like he wanted to he was like, bro, first flight back to Philly, just send me, bro. Yeah, I mean, Buddha's over there. I'm sure he doesn't want to be there anymore. Isaiah Simmons escaped, so shout out to him. It feels like it's an asylum at this point. It feels like everybody's just kind of waiting to escape, right? It doesn't feel like people really want to be there. So we'll see. We definitely will see what happens over there. I think that they're going to be the worst team in the league, personally. I think that, and I think that they kind of want to be at this point. I don't think that they really want to win. But Caleb Williams, I don't know who really watches, college football like that, but Caleb Williams is probably one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in this upcoming draft class, I should say. And he straight up said he wouldn't even play. He said that not necessarily towards the Arizona Cardinals, but he said if he didn't feel that the circumstances were right, I forget the exact wording he used, but he said if the circumstances weren't right, he would just go back to college for another year and forego the NFL draft for a year to try and hopefully get to a better team. Personally, look, if that's my son, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I get it. I get it to a certain extent. His first year, you go play, son. Go play and try and make them better, right? Go play and try and make them better. There's a bunch of number 1 overall picks that don't work out. There's a bunch of number 1 overall picks that do work out. So, it's a hit or more that don't, but some do. It is what it is. Yeah, I mean, when you're that great, it comes with a set of circumstances. You're not going to be a great player and get drafted first overall to a Super Bowl winning team. Jalen Carter got lucky, right? Jalen Carter was a top 10 pick, went to a team that's a Super Bowl contender right off the bat. So that doesn't necessarily always happen. So we'll see what happens with Gannon. I really don't think he's going to do that well. I don't want to say one and done. But it kind of feels like that. It kind of feels like it's going to be one and done. Antonio Holmes says, so who the hell going to trade for Kyler Murray contract if they draft Williams? No idea. And I have no idea why they would even really think that was a possibility. I mean, who knows? They might just cut him. Who knows? We've cut people with bigger money, right? I don't know what Kyler Murray's dead cap would be, but we've cut people with big money. So maybe they do. He said, she said, get that man off the screen. I got you. I'm sorry, Nina. I'm sorry. I got you. But I mean, realistically, let's think about this. Kyler Murray, would you want Kyler Murray? Why would you want Kyler Murray? Trey Lance, you kind of understand because he's young, right? He's still on that rookie contract. You still have that 5th-year option. But who would want Kyler Murray? And that's not even like being a slight to Kyler Murray. Even when he came into the league, he was kind of looked at as a guy that needed a certain type of coach. That's the reason why that certain type of coach came from college and went to the NFL, right? That didn't work, right? Cliff didn't work. Now you're with a guy like Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon has professed that he has his back. Yeah, I mean, he has said that, and I think the exact quote was, as long as I'm here, he can be here. So if so it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna definitely be interesting. We'll see what happens. What have people said? Yeah, I think that guy has lights on his forehead. Gannon is that super goofy kid who tries to look cool by using the cool words and attitudes, but just comes off as corny. You ain't wrong. Kyler Murray can do in this league. And again, it's not to be a hater on him. I just feel like he's small. I don't feel like he's athletic enough to be that guy that you feel can just get out of any situation. Don't get me wrong. He had that 2-point conversion where he ran for like 45 minutes. But at the end of the day, he's not the greatest passer. Again, he's not the most athletic in the world. What does he do? You really need to build your offense around him. If you're going to build the offense, you're going to have to build it around him. Now, there's quarterbacks that you've had to do that with. You can argue that Jalen Hurts is one of those quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, you had to build a team around. But how many teams will be out there willing to give up assets, that amount of money, and put a team around him? So it's going to be very interesting. We'll see what happens with Kyler Murray. Personally, I really don't care. He's not coming to Philly, hopefully. So I really could care less. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. We got 42 people in the chat. You guys are beyond amazing. I really did not think we were going to get people in here. I'm so blessed. I do not take any one of you for advantage or for granted, I should say. I really don't. Thank you so much. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe, share it with a friend. Let's get people's mornings going correctly, right? That's what I want to do with this show because I sleep in sometimes. So this gives me a reason to wake up and get my butt to work, man. So next thing I want to talk about, man, Shout out to Zach Berman. Zach Berman, another guy we've had on the show a couple times. Great guy. This was a tweet that I thought was very interesting, and it made me think. So I figured maybe it'll make y'all think as well. Matt Patricia, a guy that honestly I feel like he's gone under the radar ever since he's gotten hired. We talked about him for like a week when he was, talked about getting hired by the Eagles. Then we talked about him for a couple days afterward and was like, what's going to really happen? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? But now we haven't really talked about him. I think that once, Darius Slay said that he's cool with him and everything, you see some pictures of him and Slay kind of just talking and kicking it, seeming cordial. It doesn't seem like an issue anymore, right? It's a non-issue. But Zach Berman came out and said that one name you'll hear often this week is senior defensive assistant Matt Patricia, former Patriots assistant with keen insight on this weekend's personnel. So, very, very true, and I did not think of this. He is going to be a very key guy to get this defense ready and probably this offense as well. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be able to give some of them some insights on what this offense is going to want to do against our defense and the defense against our Jalen Hurts, because and we'll get into, what I think about this team and going against the Patriots, and we'll kind of do a breakdown of matchups and everything. But if you look at this team, we should beat this team, right? I don't think that I'm saying that as a surprise. I don't think that I'm, giving any cookies away too early. We should beat this team. This should not be a close game. This should not be a game that we're sitting here like, oh, man, nail biter. We should beat this team. But having a guy like Matt Patricia, we should dominate this team, especially defensively. Defensively, we should not give Mac Jones an inch. We should not give Ezekiel Elliott's fat self an inch. We should not give Ramondre Stevenson, whatever the heck his name is, we shouldn't give him an inch. They should all be shut down. Juju is apparently his knees like one Yoo-hoo away from exploding. I mean, this team is not good. This Patriots, especially offense, is not good. There's no reason in my mind that the Eagles should not dominate this Patriots team, and like I said, especially defensively. So this was very interesting, and like I said, it made me think, like, what is Matt Patricia saying to these guys? What do you think Matt Patricia is telling these guys? I mean, it comes down to getting off the ball, right? That's always what it comes down to. Get off the ball, get to the quarterback, make things shake, and make it work, because that's what we got to do. So I thought this was interesting. I would love to know what you guys think. Let's get through some of these comments too, because I'm talking a lot. I don't want to run through all the topics. Let me read some of these comments. I like that sticker. That's a one. These dudes trying to holler at each other. And good morning. Make sure you join the family, like and subscribe. Amanda, that's my girl, first of all, Travis. So you better watch yourself, brother. You better watch yourself. Looking for soccer. It says he's too small. Yeah, he plays cop better than ball. He's better than Mariota. Yeah, but not with that contract. I get it. I definitely agree with you there. Word is Kyler Murray's a member of FaZe. Wow. I would not be surprised, man. Joe, thanks for the content. The videos and the show is a great idea for the pod. I appreciate you. We're going to do this every week. We should definitely beat them. I definitely think so. There's no reason in this world. Yo, y'all killing me, bro. Stop trying to holler at my girl, bro. We here to talk about Eagles, bro. But yeah, shout out to my girl. Yeah, she's beautiful, man. She's amazing, and she's a big part of a lot of the things we do. A lot of the pictures, a lot of the good graphics. You can tell when I make the graphics and when she makes the graphics. But yeah, shout out to my baby boo. Y'all crazy though. Y'all crazy. Matt is going to be a huge asset this year. He is a great mind, and he knows his shiz, but he is not mentally made to be a head coach. I agree with that. NFL reality check. I think that that's a great statement, because you look at a lot of these coaches in the league, right? You look at a Jim Schwartz. I think Jim Schwartz might be the most, connected to the Eagles that we can look at. He didn't have the greatest, time being a head coach, right? You look at the Lions. I think that was the only time he was a head coach. But now you look at him as a defensive coordinator. That's where he lives. That's where he really lives. Obviously, Eagles fans have some gripes with him as our defensive coordinators. There were some games that we were like, what's going on? We all know the Sticks defense, right? There was a lot of things that, Jim Schwartz did that kind of frustrated us sometimes, but he helped us win a Super Bowl. Like it or not, obviously Tom Brady threw for like 15,000 yards in that Super Bowl, but at the end of the day, he helped us win a Super Bowl. He got that one play. One thing that I remember that I wish this happened with Jonathan Gannon. And I think that if this would have happened last year in the Super Bowl, we might have had that game. But Jim Schwartz went up to Doug Peterson and was like, I'm going to go all in on this play. Either we're going to get the ball back or they're going to score. You know what I'm saying? Like, either we're going to get the ball back for you or they're going to go and score, but we're going all in on this play to try and make a big play. I felt like that never happened with Gannon. So Jim Schwartz, the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, you are 100% right. Some people just ain't made to be a head coach. There's a lot to do when you're a head coach. So we'll see what happens with Matt Patricia. I think that it is a good hiring. It was just that weird dynamic, right? It was that weird dynamic between him and Darius Slay. But like I said, it seems like a non-issue now. So I'm cool with it. If you like it, I love it. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got to say about that. Now, I do want to implement a couple of segments that kind of involve you guys. So I said earlier, I said 2 days ago that I was going to do this show, and I asked a couple of people to just give me topics, topics or questions. So I'll probably do like 2 to 3, maybe a couple more depending on how many people, say it. But we did get 2 this week. So like I said, if you guys want to leave comments underneath this live video for next week's show or tomorrow's show, or if you want to, DM me on Twitter, whatever you want to do, you can see everything right over here, over there, somewhere over there. Down there. You see it over there. Anyways, you see my Twitter, you see my Instagram. If you guys want to holler at me, let me know what you want me to talk about. I'm more than willing to do it. But shout out to BLSG. I believe he has his own YouTube channel as well, talks about the birds. So shout out to my guy, man. He said he wants me to preview week 1 game between the Eagles and the Patriots. That is something we can do. That is something I think we can do. You guys ready? Let's get into this, man. Before I show this graphic, am I being biased? Maybe a little bit. And I want you guys to be 100% honest with me because I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that I'm being a little bit too biased? Am I being a little bit of a homer here in the way that I'm thinking? Because I went through every position group, right? QBs, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, O-line, defense, I put as a whole unit. I didn't do special teams. Maybe you can give them special teams, but you guys let me know. This is what I'm thinking, okay? This is what I'm thinking. And if there's any Patriots fans out there maybe watching the rerun or something like that, and I'm probably going to get a Patriots guy on here to talk about it, but this is where I'm at. I think that the Eagles have a pretty good advantage at almost every single position except for tight end. And why did I put the Patriots tight ends as a tie, basically? I said that it's a tie because I think that the tight ends for the Philadelphia Eagles, you look at, Albert, I'm not going to try and say his name, from Denver. I think that he's a good addition. He looks like he's 3rd on the depth chart. Looks like Jack Stoll is our backup. But you also have probably one of the top 5, top 4 tight ends in the game in Dallas Goedert. So I think that him alone puts that tight end group in a good atmosphere, a good stratosphere, But the tight ends for Patriots, they got a couple of them boys. I know they got Hunter Henry. They got somebody else, and I'm spacing on his name for some reason right now. But I think that the tight ends have a good unit, right? So I'm kind of looking at the unit versus the individual player. That's where I'm at right now. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, Gesicki. There we go. Thank you. So I don't know why I forgot Mike Gesicki, man. Penn State, baby. Penn State, which we look good. We look good game 1. You know what I'm saying? But either way, yeah, Gesicki is a good player, man. He's a baller, bro. So I think that the tight ends is going to be an interesting unit to watch for the Patriots because I think that's how they're going to try and beat us, whether it be in the running game or in the passing game. I think that they're going to have a lot of 2 tight end sets, in my opinion. Now, I don't know. I don't follow the Patriots, so I don't know what their scheme is. I don't know what they're, hoping to do against us. Like I said, I'll definitely get somebody, maybe a call in that follows the Patriots, and we'll get some answers there. But, I mean, Mac Jones versus Jalen Hurts, and I'm going to do it in depth video, so I'm not gonna go too deep in the tail of the tape, but I am gonna do an in-depth video, like kind of breaking down 3 matchups that I think are gonna be very key for the Eagles going against the Patriots. But you look at quarterbacks, Mac Jones versus Jalen Hurts. Mac Jones was not a great quarterback last year. I've heard Patriots fans saying that they aren't the biggest fan of him. Obviously, it's going to be interesting, right? You got the Alabama boy, you got Alabama versus Alabama. So this is going to be fun, but I think that Jalen Hurts is just a weapon. Even Bill Belichick said that he thinks that he's one of the top 5 players in this league right now, coming off the MVP voting, close to winning it, right? He should have won. In a lot of people's opinions, he probably should have won it, but he didn't. At the end of the day, he is one of those guys. For Bill Belichick, to come out and say that he thinks he's one of the top 5 guys in this league is a very, very high praise. The running backs, I guess you could have went anyway this way. Maybe this is more of a homer, but I just think that the combination of DeAndre Swift, Kenny Gainwell, you got Penny back there, you got Boston Scott back there. You have a lot of good running backs. Now, Ramondre Stevenson is no slouch. I think that he is very good. Ezekiel Elliott is going to be very interesting to watch and to see what his role is on this team. I don't know if he's going to be a short yardage type back. I don't know if he'll be a goal line type back. I don't know if they're just going to try and unleash him and see what he still has in the tank. So maybe here should have been a tie. Maybe it should have went to the Patriots. Not really sure. I think running backs is a little bit more up in the air than I maybe made it look like. So that might be again, I said that the tight ends would have an impact on the running game, and I think that the running backs obviously will as well, right? You need running backs to play to do running plays, but I think that the running backs are good for the Patriots, and I just need to see what Zeke is going to be used at, because Ramondre is a good running back, but him alone, I don't think that he's better than all of the Eagles running backs as a unit, right? So depends on what Zeke is going to become, but I'm giving it to the Eagles right now. Wide receivers, I'm giving it to the Eagles all day and twice on Sunday. I mean, 2 of our captains are 2 number 1 wide receivers, right? Our number 2 wide receiver is Quez Watkins, and I say that because I mean it. I really do mean that. We have 2 number 1 wide receivers. Quez Watkins is no slouch. Olamide Zaccheaus is going to go out there and hopefully do some things. Hopefully do some damage on special teams. It looks like he's going to be the number 1 return guy. So hopefully he does some damage on special teams. We sorely lacked any explosiveness on the special teams aspect. Britton Covey obviously is on the practice squad, so he'll probably be the go-to if anything happens with Zaccheaus. Quez Watkins is the backup, which we'll get into the depth chart in a second. But I think wide receivers goes to the Eagles easily. I don't think that is really close. We went over tight ends already. Offensive line, another one. Maybe this is something I got to look a little bit deeper into, but I'm pretty sure one of their guys is already hurt. One of their starting offensive linemen, I want to say it's their guard, not 100% sure. But, I mean, even if they were at full health, I think our offensive line is the best in the league. It's going to be very hard-pressed for me to go through this season and find an offensive line that I actually think is better than the Philadelphia Eagles. So, yeah, Eagles got that by, I think, a good stretch. I won't say by a landslide, but I think by a good stretch, the Eagles' offensive line is better than the Patriots. And if their guy is hurt, which I'm pretty sure their starting guard is hurt, then it might be a landslide. Defensively, if I broke it down by position, maybe they have a position that's better than us. Maybe you can make an argument for their cornerbacks. They do have some decent cornerbacks. They're young. They're very young, though. So I go with the Eagles. I mean, that front seven, they got Matthew Judon. They got a good front four. They have a decent defense. I think that they'll end this year middle of the road. You know what I'm saying? Last year they were kind of middle of the road. A lot of people are saying they're going to be a top 10 defense this year in the Patriots. We'll see what happens. I think that the Eagles have, or at least should have, a top 5 defense in this league. I think that the Eagles have a very stacked talent-wise defense. You look at that defensive line, I don't think that there's many, if any, that can really rumble with them. So I'm going with my Eagles here. I'm going with my Eagles here. Obviously, that game is at 4:25 this Sunday. How good does that feel? I have to go to work today, Friday, and Saturday, and then I'm off all Sunday. I'm off all Sunday, and I'm going to be watching that game. I'm going to be so excited. I'm going to be so happy. I know you guys are going to be as well, man. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. And then we get to, cancel Tom Brady Day, which is even better. Who doesn't love ruining Tom Brady's day? We did it in the Super Bowl. Let's do it in a regular season game. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I see everybody in here. We got almost 50 people in the chat. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. Show enough in the building. We back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If y'all don't know, now y'all know. Show Enough has the best name on YouTube. That is one of my favorite movies. Every time I see that, I gotta say it. Why does Twist only gets? Hey, it's not like he's annoyed. We only have 2 early games this year. I know It's impressive. You know, it's funny because the Eagles are probably going to be the talk of the town. I think that the Eagles should be, at least. The Eagles should be every week the people that teams are talking about, because we have everything. We really do. And if we lose, I'm going to be so disappointed. I am looking Super Bowl or bust. I really am. I really am Super Bowl or bust. Last year, I was, you guys know, I was saying, hey, if we get to the playoffs, win a game or two, I'll be happy. That's, progress. That's what I want to see. Last year, we made it to the Super Bowl. We were maybe a Jalen Hurts fumble away from winning. Maybe, whatever a holding play from winning. Whatever you want to blame it on, we were very close. We were a play or two away from winning that Super Bowl. This year, you got, in my opinion, better. I think you got better. So you got to go out there and win, man. I know a lot of people are going to bring up, you lost Javon Hargrave, you lost Miles Sanders, but I feel you replaced all those guys. I really do. So this year, to me, is Super Bowl or bust. Maybe I'm bugging for saying that. Maybe I'm wrong for saying that. But, man, damn it if I ain't hype. Damn it if I ain't hype. And damn it if we ain't going to try, because this team is good, man. Y'all know me. You guys that have been following this channel for the past 3 years know I try to keep as humble as possible going into the season. As the season gets closer, I get a little bit more homerish, a little bit more ridiculous. But y'all know I'll say straight up, hey, look, we're just going to try and do what we could do. We see what happens. This year, we're not seeing what happens. I want to see us make it back to the Super Bowl, and damn it, I want to win it. I want to win it. That's it. I want to win it. Give me my Super Bowl win, Howie. That's what I want. That is what I want. Now, I do want to get what's going on, Slow Mo? What's going on? Who else we got in here? Welts, what's going on? What's going on? Word, that gives me 5 minutes. I cannot get used to all these late games. It's gonna be tough. It's definitely gonna be tough. It's definitely gonna be tough. What's up, bro? I can't wait to see that first Jalen Hurts touchdown. Who do y'all think is gonna get the first touchdown of the season? Do you think it'll be a pass from Jalen Hurts, a run from Jalen Hurts, a run from somebody? Like, what do you think the first touchdown of the season is gonna be? What do y'all think it is? And shout out to everybody in the chat. We about halfway through with this show. I want to get into our depth chart. All right, so make a poll. I got to go on my Smitty. Okay. Bomb to AJ, D Smith, a run, Smitty, Smith. A lot of people saying Smitty. I think Smitty's going to have a huge year this year. I still have my Stitch number 2 jersey. That's fire. That's fire. It took Hargraves to reach the age of 30 before he hit double-digit sacks. I'm good. Carter and Smith can make up those 11 sacks. I agree. I will say that if you look at it, it's hard to put that on Hargrave. Hargrave was a lot of times the zero tech. He was over the center. Like, he wasn't really asked to be the guy that goes into the backfield. He always could do it, but he was never really asked to do that, especially with the Steelers. So it's kind of hard to say, he just never did it till he got to the Eagles. He just never really was asked to do it. I'll be rocking that Dean jersey, 15 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. That'll be crazy. Ooh, a pick 6. I like that. I would not mind that at all. A defensive touchdown as the first touchdown in the year. That would really tell you something. That would really tell you something about this defense, and I would love to be told that. But let's get into this. Let's get into this depth chart. All right. So, I mean, look, a lot of things are kind of, we knew, right? We knew this was going to, for most of them, right? Cam Jurgens is starting at right guard. That offensive line is what we thought it would be. Dallas Goedert, your starter. A little bit surprised to see Jack Stoll as your number 1 backup. I thought that Albert would get that, but Grant Calcaterra as your third, along with Albert. So that's interesting to see. Obviously, your 2 wide receivers, you got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins holds on to that number 3 spot, which I've said from before. Look, I'm cool with his trainer. I've talked to his trainer a couple times. I've had his trainer on this show a couple times. Very, very cool dude. Shout out to Coach Steph Brown. We were talking about Quez a lot this offseason, and he was sending me videos of Quez working out. He was telling me, Quez was looking good. I told you guys Quez was looking good. Then the Eagles told you guys Quez was looking good. Quez is a guy I'm very hype about, and I've been hype about for a while. I think that last year he was unfairly roasted. Yes, he dropped some balls. He made some costly mistakes. He gave up some interceptions because you can blame him for some of the interceptions because of drops. But at the end of the day, I don't think that it was a totally, just lost season. He's so trash. I think that he's fine. And I think that this year is going to be a really big year for him. And I'm excited to see what he does. Obviously, the quarterback situation, Jalen Hurts, and then you got Mariota as the number one backup. I said this before, and again, maybe I'm overreacting to, the preseason, but I loved what I saw out of Tanner McKee. I would not be mad if Tanner McKee was our backup at all. I really want to see what that guy can do in some game time situation. Now, the running back situation, I did get told, and this doesn't mean that it's 100% true, but I was told that DeAndre Swift is going to be your running back one. I was told that DeAndre Swift was going to be the first guy out there, that he was going to see the bulk of the carries. Now, we'll see what that means. We'll see how these carries, pan out. Obviously, they put all the running backs as their first team running backs, and I do believe that they'll get a very similar share of touches or or snaps, at least I should say. I think that touches wise, you will be looking at DeAndre Swift getting the lion's share of them. Not maybe all of them, but the lion's share of them because of his pass catching ability. And I think that him and Kenny Gainwell add that to your team. But DeAndre Swift kind of adds that running ability with the pass catching ability. Now, health is wealth for these guys. If DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny can stay healthy, I don't know what this running game can become, but it can become something very scary. It can become something very, very scary. Now, defensively, really no crazy surprises, I guess. Maybe I'm a little bit shocked that, Brandon Graham is getting the start, but who would they really start over him, especially when you got Derek Barnett as the second guy. Fletcher Cox is obviously that starter. I figured he would be. Milton Williams and Jalen Carter are the backups to Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox. I like that Jordan Davis is starting. I'm kind of surprised that Jalen Carter's not starting, if I'm being honest, but I'm glad to see him. I think that he's going to be very, very good this year. And he's a guy I want to talk about for a second because I think a lot of people don't understand what he's here for. Okay, he might not put up double-digit sacks, and I say might because he might do it. He might actually, develop it as a pass rusher and go out there and ball out, but he might not. He might just be a run-stopping specialist, and if he is, I'm cool with that. If he can shut down run games, let me say it one more time. If he can shut down run games, he's doing his job. If Nakobe Dean is running through the line untouched, he is doing his job. If Josh Sweat has one-on-ones on the outside, Brandon Graham has one-on-ones on the outside, if Fletcher Cox has one-on-ones on the inside, if Jalen, we can keep going down, right? We can keep going down. If people are running free around Jordan Davis, he is doing his job. So I want people to understand that because I see a lot of people kind of saying like, oh, what a waste. We wasted I think we took him at 15, right? We wasted a number 15 pick, first round pick on a guy that can only stop the run. That's important. That's very important. We had Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh come to this team to try and do that. So it's very important. Very important. So I just wanted to kind of make that statement. Josh Sweat, another guy that I think is going to have an amazing year this year, so I'm excited to see what happens there. Nolan Smith and Patrick Johnson being both second team is interesting. I think that Nolan Smith will probably get more touches. I think Patrick Johnson's a very good player, though, and I'm excited to see what maturation he has coming into his second year, I believe, right? Hassan Reddick, we ain't got to say nothing about him. Zach Cunningham and Christian Ellis. We will see who's the starter. We will see who's actually going out there and starting at the will spot. Nakobe Dean is an obvious starter, right? I don't know who I think is going to start. I would probably start Zach Cunningham just because he's been in this league for a while. You know what you're going to get out of him. I do feel he's a little bit underrated. I feel like people are kind of sleeping on what Zach Cunningham can bring to this team. He's a sure tackler. Reminds me a lot of TJ Edwards in the sense of he's going to make the tackle. Might not be the flashiest, might not be the fastest, might not be the, best coverage guy in the world, but he's good at a bunch of things and he's a great tackler. So I think that is going to be fun to watch him join this team, see what he brings to this team. Any more surprises? Not really. Safety, I guess, we'll see who's the starter alongside Reed Blankenship. I've been told Sidney Brown. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't think we'll see what happens. I've been told that Sidney Brown has a very good shot of starting, but they have Terrell Edmonds and Justin Evans as the two guys that they have as the first team safety. So we'll see what happens there. I will say Justin Evans, if he ends up starting, we could have got a steal because he's a guy that has not really been able to play a lot his career because he's been hurt so much. So if he's a guy that actually gets that starting job and stays healthy for a season, he put up some good numbers with the Bucs. You know, when he was able to play, he showed flashes. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he was disgusting. He was one of the best, in the league. But he was pretty good. He was pretty darn good, and I'm excited to see what he can do if he can stay healthy. Kaylee Ringo being the number 2 cornerback, I don't know if I love it. I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't know if I love it. Kaylee Ringo didn't show me too much. Mario Goodrich being the second slot cornerback is interesting as well. Kaylee Ringo didn't show me much. I would probably like to see Eli Ricks, who I thought was better than Kaylee Ringo coming into this draft. I know I was alone with that thought. A lot of people did not expect me to say that. A lot of people didn't like that I said that, if I'm being honest. But we'll see what happens there. Reed Blankenship obviously going to be, asked to take on a big role this year. Then we look at the returners. Punt returner, like I said, Olamide Zaccheaus is going to be your number 1 punt returner. We got Rick Lovato back, somebody that doesn't get the flowers he deserves. We all love John Dorenbos, but we just be forgetting that Rick Lovato's there. Rick Lovato's a GOAT. Jake Elliott, come on. We knew that was going to happen. And I guess we're just waiting to see what happens with Arryn Siposs. He'll most likely, like I said earlier on in the show, he'll most likely be your punter. And then you have Boston Scott listed as your only kick returner. Don't know how that's going to work. Look, I like this team, but special teams still scares me. And you lose a guy like Zach McPherson. You lose a bunch of guys, that were on that special teams. Special teams is definitely gonna scare me. It's definitely gonna scare me. So we'll see. We'll see. Remo says, I still think Ringo can be an awesome safety one day. I agree. I think that's where he deserves to, or not deserves to be, but I think that's where he should be. I think that his skill set, especially right now, it lends himself to being a better safety than a cornerback. But at the same time, he's young. He's like 21 years old. If you're willing, as the Eagles, to say, we're willing to wait a year or two and see if we can really develop him into a cornerback, and then if we can't, we move him to safety, I'm okay with that. We don't need him to be great right now. And like I said, I probably wouldn't even put him in if someone got hurt. They probably would, though. It's crazy because a lot of the times that he got beat, it was because he didn't turn his head. It wasn't because he was out of position. He was in position most of the time, covered very well down the field, made some decent tackles, missed some good tackles too. But, he made some decent. He had a lot of good, but the bad was always at the end of the play. The bad was not being able to turn his head around and make the play. So, there's redeemable qualities. There's definitely things that he can do in this league that will probably keep him around in this league. But at the end of the day, it's definitely something to keep your eye out on. Shout out to my guy, Joey Shakes, man, in the building. I just lost the chat, though. I don't know where it just went. Oh, there we go. Joey said defense is exciting to watch. See what Desai's all about. That's where I'm at right now. I can't wait to see what Desai's going to really do because he's talked a very, very good game. So I'm excited to see how that works out. We got 50 people in the chat. We have 39 likes. Can we get up to 50 likes? Can we get 50 likes? I would really, really appreciate that. Kaylee isn't ready, but Eagles okay. I don't see him dressing Sunday. He'll probably dress. But like I said, I don't think he'll start. I think he'll be more of a special teams guy. I'm hoping that that's what he can be for us right now because that's really what we need. Maybe put his prescription in his visor. That could definitely help. That could definitely help. Yeah, Clay said you guys know who is punting and returning this morning. It's Def, Siposs, and Covey. I don't think Covey will be back. I think that Covey will stay on the sideline because I think that Olamide is a good option as a return man. And if you're bringing up Covey to do kick return, I'd rather you bring up Devin Allen. Bring up Devin Allen. He showed a big. That was a. If anybody showed something on special teams, it was Devin Allen this preseason. I don't care if it was one play. I don't care. So I think if you're gonna bring somebody, you're gonna. And I think my girl's home, so you guys better close your eyes. I don't want nobody saying no funny stuff. But no, I think that if anybody's gonna be, upgrade to that kick returning spot, it's going to be Devin Allen. So I would love to see Devin Allen. Now, I want to get to I have one more fan mailbag, and then I want to get back into the last graphic because we're almost coming up on an hour. This time is going by too quick. But shout out to Messiah Armstrong 71. He said, how do you see the, and this is what we were just talking about, so kind of worked out perfectly. He said, how do you see the safeties and linebackers working out this year? Kind of seems scary for depth. I agree 100%. I think that, if and I said this on Best of Enemies before, I would be lying if I said that I feel 100% comfortable with this safety room, even with Reed Blankenship. I don't know what he's going to be year two. I hope that, and you saw a lot of things that make you feel like he's going to be better this year. But I don't know. You don't know, right? You really do not know until that happens. So, I don't know what's going to happen with this safety group, the linebacking group, another one. Zach Cunningham, like I said, he is a veteran, so we kind of know what we're getting out of him. But as far as everybody else, Christian Ellis has shown flashes, so we feel comfortable with him. But we don't know. Nakobe Dean, same thing. He's shown flashes, but we don't know. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this linebacking room kind of figures itself out, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to have to figure themselves out. It's not going to be, the coaching staff saying, all right, you go here, you go there. They're going to have to make this work. They're going to have to figure out how they fall in. But it does come down to the front four as well. Jordan Davis, like I said before, he's going to be tasked with clearing up the middle for these linebackers. So if he's doing his job, I think that it makes the job easier for these linebackers. And if the front seven is doing their job, then it makes it easier back for the back four. Your safeties now have an easier job. It's just a whole bunch of mishmash that a bunch of great things start happening when everybody does their job. So I love the question, because I think that it's definitely a good question, and it's definitely something that we have to be worried about and keeping our eye on as Eagles fans. But like I said, I think that it comes down to everybody just kind of doing their job. We'll see what happens, man. Ringo would be a decent gunner. I think so too. You have that speed. So, I think that it would be interesting. I like Ellis a lot on special teams, and Sidney Brown. Hey, that definitely could be the spot for them right now. I'm not in the business of giving free yards. I respect that. He won't see the field if he goes to safety. We have Blankenship and Brown. Yeah, but you can still run 3 safety sets. You can, who knows what's going to happen with, Blankenship and Brown, you're assuming they're going to be here for a while. So we'll see what happens. Talent is always going to beat out, whatever we like, right? It doesn't matter if they were picked in the first round. If a guy is better, a guy is better. Jalen Hurts is a perfect example of that, which, speaking of Jalen Hurts, the last thing I want to talk about is Jalen Hurts. All right. Jalen Hurts had this is via John Clark, but it was technically via his press conference. So Jalen Hurts said that it seems like there were a lot of teams that would have taken him if he was there. And, he continued to say that Hurts smiled on the possibility of the Patriots selecting him in the draft if the Eagles didn't pick him. Jerry Jones said he wanted to as well, but they didn't. I think it's hilarious. I think that it's hilarious that so many teams are now saying that they would have loved to have Jalen Hurts. They would have loved to. Ask any fan base, Dallas fans, oh my God, Jalen Hurts is trash. Jalen Hurts can't develop. Jalen Hurts can't even throw the ball. He only had 22 touchdowns. He didn't run for any yards, any at all. And look at all the stats that they put up. He ain't run for 1 yard, not one. They were all rugby yards. Nobody wanted Jalen Hurts. Why would they? Oh, but a bunch of coaches are saying they want. Oh, wait, Bill Belichick said he wanted Jalen Hurts. Wait. Dallas said they would have drafted Jalen. But that doesn't fit the narrative. Oh, I hate to ruin narratives. I hate to ruin it. I really would hate. I would hate to ruin that little perfect bubble that these Cowboys fans and all these random fans that want to hate on Jalen Hurts are in. But your team wanted him. Your team wanted our guy. It's cool to say now, right? It's cool to say now. Who knows if these guys really were going to draft Jalen? It's the cool thing to say now because he's a great quarterback. Everybody that had an option to, draft him didn't. You didn't take him. Nobody, the Eagles took a big chance, took him in the second round when we already had a guy that a lot of people thought was the franchise guy. It separated a lot of Eagles fans. So it's cool to say now, right? But you guys didn't go through the war that we went through, right? I remember talking to other Eagles fans, arguing with other Eagles fans about our quarterbacks, about who we thought would be the quarterback. We went through hell and back to get to this point. You know, you look at the whole Carson Wentz situation. You look at the whole Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman situation. You look at all the you know, when Howie Roseman was trying to get a dap from one of the from one of the head scouts, you all this drama, all this negativity, all this weird stuff surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles ended up with one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So it's cute to say now. It's cute for a lot of these teams to say, "Hey, I wanted him. Hey, I wanted him. I was about to get him. It reminds me of that scene in Life where, you know, one of the dudes gets one of the prison guards, I guess that's what they were, right? The prison guards, one of their kids, one of their daughters got impregnated, and, you know, they were like, whose baby is this? And all the dudes was up like, oh, that's my baby. That's my baby. No, that's my baby. That's what it feels like now. It feels like everybody's coming up trying to claim something that they had no part of doing, right? The Philadelphia Eagles put things in place for Jalen Hurts to succeed. Jalen Hurts did the work for Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles to succeed. Bill Belichick, you ain't pick him, so shut up. Don't talk about him. You know, Jerry Jones senile ass. You ain't pick him. You ain't pick him, so don't talk about him. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Don't talk about our quarterback. Now, we got him. You didn't. You ain't want him. Your fans think that he's trash. Don't change up now. Don't change up now to try and get in the party. You know what I'm saying? Just because you see that we got kegs in here. We got an ice luge. We having a good old time. Now you want to come into the party. We sent you an invite. You could have been in the party. You could have been in the party, but now you outside looking stupid. So that's how I feel about it, man. That's, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to bring this last thing up because I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people talk junk about Jalen Hurts and how Eagles fans are homers and nobody else thinks that Jalen Hurts is that great. Yet your coach thinks he is. That coach thinks he is. It is what it is. And next week, we're going to talk about these lists, okay? Or tomorrow, excuse me. I keep saying next week. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about these lists. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about these top 10 quarterback lists that are sleeping on Jalen. We're going to talk about these power rankings that I feel are sleeping on Jalen. We're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about all that. But I appreciate you guys so much, man. How many people we still got in here? We still got 40-plus people in the building, man. I got to say, I did not expect to have anybody in this chat. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. It was a little nerve-wracking when you take time off of doing content. Sometimes people forget about you, and I was nervous. I'm gonna be 100% real with you. I was nervous everybody just gonna forget about your boy and just be like, who the heck is Philly the podcast? But y'all came out, y'all showed out, y'all gave me so much hope, so much hype. I'm excited to do tomorrow's show. So and y'all know what it is, man. I hope to see all of you guys tomorrow, and let's keep this going. Leave any comments in the section below in the regular video section, and let me know if you have topics you want me to talk about tomorrow, because we'll definitely do it, man. We'll get you guys in on the fan mailbag, and we'll have some fun. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it's gonna be. It's Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out here. This felt good. I haven't done this in a while. You ready? Peace.